Each of these little states was autonomous, quite independent of its neighboring communities. The country, geographically, ladies and gentlemen, was highly interesting, as you can see. Its coastline is rugged and irregular. Groups of mountain ranges are abundant. All this, I assure you, is highly important because a nation's cultural achievements are closely allied with its geographical conditions. If you will remember, my last lecture... Well. No wonder we have such a full attendance this morning. With a stellar drawing card, one might say, with such a surefire box office attraction honoring us by his presence. Welcome to our distinguished little group, Mr. Crane.
Thanks, Dr. Blake. The pleasure is all yours.
If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Crane, this is the first time you've honored us by your august presence since you condescended to register for this course.
Yep, I've been too busy.
Naturally, Mr. Crane, naturally. An athlete of your ability and reputation can't dissipate his valuable energies on anything so trivial as appearing at classes.
Yep, that's right. You know, I got to get plenty of rest so as I can keep this schoolgirl complexion and look well on those photos in the sporting page.
As a matter of interest, Mr. Crane, would you mind telling us what other SNAP courses you're taking?
Courses? Well, I'm registered for, let me see. Oh, yes, commercial law, dairy farming 3, and the solution of our modern traffic problems. And then there's another one, oh, yes, the history of Persian architecture.
A magnificent course of study, Mr. Crane. Admirably adapted to broaden and strengthen the intellect. You'll be a living symbol of old Stanton's fine academic traditions after you graduate.
Oh, in your head.
What was that last remark, Mr. Crane?
I said I knew that.
Perhaps you'd care to recite, Mr. Crane. Perhaps you'd enjoy making a verbal report on last week's reading assignment. Come on, give us your idea of Sophocles.
Sophocles?
Yeah, you know Sophocles.
Oh, yeah. You mean that Italian boy that's playing tackle for Ohio State? He ain't so hot.
You're absolutely unique, Mr. Crane, in a class by yourself. As our younger contemporaries say, you get the fur-lined soap dish.
You keep it. I already got one.
And yet, as much as it grieves me, Mr. Crane, I must ask you to get that list of reading assignments and give it some serious consideration. We're having a little quiz next week. It would be a pity to have you ineligible for the Andrews game, wouldn't it, Mr. Crane?
Say, if I ain't eligible, there won't be no football game. It'll be a track meet for Andrews.
Oh, your modesty is overwhelming.
Without me, our team's got about as much chance of licking Andrews as it has to swim in the ocean underwater. Say, where do I get that list?
You'll find it growing on the large tree just outside the window. Or perhaps Santa Claus might bring it to you if you write him a nice, sweet letter.
Oh, there ain't no Santa Claus.
We will now continue with our lecture, ladies and gentlemen. I was saying, a country's cultural achievements are closely identified with its geographical conditions. It is difficult, ladies and gentlemen, for us who live in this day and age to comprehend the social background of the ancient Greeks. And yet, we must make every effort to comprehend that social background if we are to have the fullest appreciation of their magnificent accomplishments in the field of the drama. When I say drama, ladies and gentlemen, I am using the word in its broadest sense to comprise both tragedy and comedy, of Aeschylus, Euripides, and Sophocles. I will say very little at present, because I take it for granted that all of you in this course are thoroughly familiar with them.
Well, folks, it's almost over. The game is in the bag for Andrews, 3-0, with only a few minutes left to play. The Stanton team seems to be going to pieces after a hard-fought game. The outstanding players have been Bill Mayfield for Andrews and Jim Crane for Stanton. Both teams have given a magnificent exhibition of football. One of the greatest games we have ever seen on this field.
There goes my $1,000. All shots. Mostly.
It's your own fault, dear, for betting on a team like this.
So is your old man.
He's played the game of his life, but hasn't been able to get loose. The whole Andrews team has watched him like a hawk. Too bad. It's Jim's last game, and everybody has been waiting for him to pull off one of his spectacular broken field runs. But he's had 11 Andrews men on his neck ever since the game started.
Watch right tackle. This week we can make all the yards we want.
Stand there and fight. Watch that Bud Mayfield on that double reverse play. He's coming around your end every time. Stop him. Don't let him get through there. I can't stop that whole bunch myself. I can't play the whole game myself. Every man on that team's watching me. You gonna let that bunch of tramps beat us? You're acting like a bunch of babies. Little interference. Stop him. Smear him up. Okay. Come on. Now let's get going a minute.
Okay. This week we can make all the yards we want. Just go in there with determination.
All right, boys. Time.
How about it?
Hang on.
Come on, Stanton. Let's have 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Out of the huddle. The ball is snapped. Boy, how he hit the line that time. Off guard, but they held him. Stanton has a little fight left after all. Lining up. It's second down, 10 yards to go, and the ball is on Stanton's 20-yard line. The ball is snapped. Intercepts the pass. Crane has the ball. He's down. No, he's not. 5 tacklers have missed him. What a football player. Is going wild. I never heard that cheering. Jim Crane is the greatest halfback in all the world. It's Stanton's game, 6-3 at least. Jim Crane is absolutely the greatest football player. There goes a gun. Game's over. And what a game.
Football game between Stanton and Andrews is coming to you over Central Superstation KUW by the courtesy of the Acme Silk Line Casket Company.
Jim, old boy. How are you,
Sure glad
boy?
to see.
Great game, wasn't it?
Fine, marvelous. Mrs. Ward, allow me to present Mr. Jim Crane.
Mr. Crane, I'm delighted.
Well, that's only natural.
Boy, what a game you played
And
today.
this is Mr. Pete Ward, captain of the football team in 1900 or 1915 or something like that.
Well.
I never drank a better game. my name is Bert Holmes.
Very glad to know you, Mr. Holmes.
Boy, you were sensational. Never saw anything like it.
Well, it was bad. Oh, that's all right.
Hey, look, you put plenty of money in my pocket. You know, I put 5 to 1 odds on Stanton and kissed it goodbye until you interrupted. No, I mean until you intercepted that pass. And say, Jim, you can have my shirt for the asking.
Come on over and talk to me.
Yes. Go and have a chat with her. She's a lovely little woman. I'm going out and whoopee.
Football player in the world.
Great game, wasn't it?
You certainly ended your career in a blaze of glory.
Well, I tell you, those Andrews men hadn't outweighed our linemen 3 tons to men. I'd have been able to show you something. But it was, the men made hole through the lines all right, but only a man could get through them.
Say, Jim, let's go upstairs and get acquainted. Let's play games.
Don't be silly, Pete. But tell me, Mr. Crane, what are you going to do after you graduate?
Well, from the looks of things now, I'll probably die of old age.
You can't play football next season, can you?
No, this is my 3rd year college competition. That washes me up, you know. I'm figuring on quitting school right after basketball season. I guess I can get a job moving pianos or bending pretzels or something.
I know. Why don't you go to New York? Pete will give you a great job. Won't you, Peter?
Give him a good job? Say, he can have my whole office. Right down to the shiny customer doors.
What line are you in?
Peter Ward and Company. Bond. 5 Rector Street. Biggest, greatest, oldest, most reliable investment company in the city. You come down any old time. Start in as vice president and work your way up.
Well, I may take up your office sometime, Mr. Ward.
Where do you get that Mr. stuff? Call me Pete.
Okay, Pete.
Okay, Jim.
Peter, you asked me to remind you to go over and send some wires.
By golly, you're right. I forgot all about it. Thanks, darling. Say, Jim, great little wife. Greatest little old woman in the world. And now I got to get those wires crossed.
Well,
Don't forget, there's a good job waiting for you in the office.
I won't forget. What's the use of being a big shot in college athletics if you don't end up in the bond business? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hello, boys.
Fellas over here.
Can I help you, sir?
Somebody doesn't help me, I'll never get this wire sent. I know what I want to say, but as soon as I start writing it down, I get all mixed up.
Well, if you give me a general idea of what you want to say, I'd be glad to take care of it.
Will you?
Mm-hmm.
Tell them not to underwrite the issue they wired me about, but if they've already done it, then tell them to get some smaller house to take it off our hands. And tell them if they don't do that, when I get back to my office, I'm going to make it Hades. You got that?
Yes, sir. Where shall I send it?
Mark Crawford, Peter Ward and Company, 5 Richter Street, New York.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Aren't you going to write it down?
I don't write things down. I'll remember it, sir.
Oh?
Well, the signature, please.
Sign it, Ward. It charges to room 311.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ward.
Thank you very much. You saved my life.
No, thank you, sir.
Don't be silly.
No, thank you, sir.
You got a great personality, young lady. And you're darn efficient, you know that? How long you been with the telegraph company?
A little over 3 years. I'm working my way through college.
That's wonderful. I admire anyone who can work his way through college. I meant to do it myself, but I never got around to it. Do you want to come to New York? I'll give you a good job. I need intelligent people in my office.
Well, really, Mr. Ward,
Peter Ward and Company, 5 Rector Street, Bonds, biggest, oldest, surest, most reliable investment house in America. The Peter Ward president. I'm in. Come down anytime. I don't know what you're making here, but I'll double it. That's the kind of a guy I am.
do you mean it, Mr. Ward?
Sure. I just hired Jim Crane, the football player. He's coming down to work for me.
Jim Crane?
Yep. So long. Thanks, old-timer. Come to New York, I'll give you a good job. I'm engaging everybody tonight. Peter Ward and Company. Biggest, most reliable investment house in the world.
Thank you, sir.
Look here, Bert. Are you sure you can't sell any of this consolidated junk? We are stuck with it.
Sure I can. I can sell anything, but I won't. None of these fly-by-night propositions for little Bertie.
You won't change your mind.
Positive.
Come in. All right, forget it. My dear Miss Chester, you're impossible. You can't type, you can't spell. You have a positive genius for getting things wrong.
If you wouldn't mumble so when you dictate, maybe I could understand you.
Don't argue with me.
I'll argue with anybody I want.
Go to the cashier and
You don't fire me. I quit. And I want to tell you right now that you're the nastiest, meanest old crab I ever had the bad luck to work for.
She kind of beat you to the punch, didn't she?
It's enough to drive a man crazy. Can't I find a good secretary? Isn't there one intelligent person in this town? Must I spend the rest of my life writing my own letters? That new girl, Miss Ellis, she's smart. She might be a good secretary.
Sure.
Hello? I've just discharged Miss Chester. Tell Miss Ellis that she's my new private secretary. Yes. Starting right now.
Well, good morning. Which is Mr. Ward's office, and would you tell him he wants to see Mr. Crane?
Tell him yourself. I'm not speaking to him.
Okay. How are you, Petey? Here's your new vice president. Boy, what a hot dump you've got here. I'm going to like this spot.
How did you get in here? What? It's Crane.
That's right. Little Jimmy himself in the flesh. Nature's gift to football.
Glad to see you.
I knew you would be. You know, I got to thinking your offer over and decided this bond business would be my meat. So I studied up on a lot of books, and here I am, all set to do big things, and I don't mean wash elephants. You know, Petey, I've got this business figured from A to Z. I'm going to play it just like I played football. Hit 'em with all I got, fight like a crazy man, never know when I'm whipped. Petey, I'm going to double your business in 6 months.
Well, now, that's just dandy.
Well, don't thank me. I like you. You're a good scout. Besides, it's going to be a lot of fun for me making big dough for both of us.
Well, if I promised you a job, I suppose I'll have to give you one. Now, let me see. I'll put you with a seasoned, experienced man for a few days just to break you in.
Bring on your man and I'll break him in. I don't need nobody showing me nothing.
We'll see about that a little later. Oh, Mr. Holmes, this is Jim Crane, who's going to work for us. Take him around with you for a couple of days and let him see what it's all about, if possible.
Hi, Mr. Holmes. I guess you've heard about me.
Can't say that I have. I never read the funny papers.
Now listen, Crane. Bert is your boss. He's the star salesman of my company, and...
Him? The star salesman?
Well, I'm glad to have met you, Crane. You're going to be a big help around here.
He can't be a good salesman. He ain't got no personality, Petey. Why, a big fat slob like that can't...
Now, never mind about that. You go to my secretary. Miss Ellis will give you a lot of literature and begin studying up on the stuff we handle.
Okay, Petey. I'll do that little thing. Say, sister, are you Mr. Ward's secretary?
Yes, I am.
Well, this firm just got a great break. I'm going to work here.
How do you do, Mr. Crane?
Oh, so you recognize me from my pictures, too, eh?
Pictures?
Well, them newspaper photos ain't so hot. They hardly do a fella justice.
Why, Mr. Crane, I went to Stanton, too.
Oh, well, then you know all about me.
Yes, I was in several classes with you. I sat right behind you in Dr. Blake's class on the Greek drama.
Yeah? I used to go to that wisecracking fun course every once in a while to catch up on my sleep.
That day after the big Andrews game, I saw you in front of the locker building and you spoke to me. Don't you remember?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. How are you? Great game, wasn't it?
I'm glad you're going to work here with us.
Well, so are the others. You know, it's a good thing for a firm like this to have an athlete of my reputation hanging around.
Is there anything I can do to help you?
Well, you can get me some literature so I can read up on what we're selling.
Yes.
When you see the honeymoon, dear, when it throws its light on you, all the world will be as bright as noon, dear. All your fairy dreams come true. Then no one is poor at all, dear. You'll be dressed in cloth of gold. Only have a care. You had best beware when the golden honeymoon grows old. Honeymoon, honeymoon.
Now listen, Crane. All the men here tonight are potential customers.
Hearts are broken when you die.
All of them are wealthy and in the habit of buying securities.
Okay, Peter, I'm going to work on him plenty.
Well, Bert, take him around and introduce him to the men.
Oh, all right.
You see, the more of them you can meet and make like you, the faster you'll be ahead in the bond business.
Say, Peter, that suits me to a T. Come on, Fatty. Let's get up and at him.
Oh, Mr. Crane, I'm so glad to see you. I've been looking all over for you. There are so many charming people I want you to meet.
Tell them not to get impatient. I'm going to give them all a break.
Now, you run along in the other room, and I'll be with you in a minute.
Hello, my dear.
Peter, dear, why didn't you tell me that Jim Crane had been working for you for almost a month?
Because I didn't think the matter was of sufficient importance.
Had I not run into him at the university club this afternoon, I shouldn't have known he was in town.
Well, you've been struggling along very nicely without knowing.
You know, dear, every time I manage to give an interesting party, I do so in spite of you. I'm the one who scares up all the interesting people. I'm the one who invites them. I'm the one that does all the worrying.
My darling, you forget nothing. Why do men ever get married?
Honeymoon, honeymoon. Wonder why it's set so soon.
Oh, Miss Edmonds.
How do you do?
Miss Arthur. David. How do you do?
How do you do, Mr. Davis?
Well, how do you do, Mr. Crane? You were perfectly magnificent in the Andrews game.
I was thrilled to death. Yes, indeed, and so was I. You looked like a big star on that football field.
Yeah? I wasn't bad. Best game I ever played.
You won.
Well,
Pete,
who's the chap with all the sex appeal?
Jim Crane, the Stanton football player.
What you doing down here?
He's working for me.
Selling bonds doesn't appear to be his business. He ought to be selling cosmetics or ladies' underwear.
I think I'll get another drink.
It went for a long time.
Well, I wasn't bad, you know. I thought for a long time we were going to lose. Then when I got the ball, the minute I got that ball, I knew the game was on. But you're a swell dancer. Gee, kid, but you're a swell dancer. Gee, but you're a swell dancer. Gee, but you're a swell dancer.
Only had one line. And fight, fight, fight for the things we know are right. Here for Samson. Rock.
Gracious, you'd at least get a little run for your money.
Hey, boys, where's all the women?
What?
Yeah, that's odd. What the? I didn't know this was supposed to be a stag.
I think we'd better go on the hunt for them, what?
Yeah, can't do with them and you can't do without them.
one. I asked it first.
You did not. I asked him first. Yes, I want one too.
Just a minute, girls. Give little Jimmy a chance. He'll take care of you one at a time. Here you are, Mrs. Ward.
What about Sadie?
Boy, it looks like little Jimmy's going to wind up all right in this town. Wait a minute. Here we go. Well, now, just a minute, girls. One at a time. I will take care of you individually. Here you are, Mrs. Ward. Little drink. Honeymoon, honeymoon. Tell me why you said so soon. Da-da-da-da. That's enough for you, baby. And you.
Crane.
Just a minute, girls. Big conference. I'll be right back.
How are you making out?
Marvelous, Pete. Marvelous. Great party, isn't it?
Never mind about that. But tell me, are you meeting any people?
Oh, Peter, where have you been all evening? Little Jimmy's the Queen of May. I'm the most popular little guy.
Yeah, but Mr. Ward means have you met any men at all?
Oh, don't be silly and quit worrying. I told you I was going to be a big shot in this business. And I didn't put it on any too thick.
Just the same, I think you better break up your little harem and come on out into the living room where the men are.
Oh, I've met plenty of men, Peter. Listen, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to sell more bonds than that little fella can lift.
Jimmy, this way.
Okay, Peter, old boy.
Oh, girls, let's get down to a little steady drinking. Huh? Let's get down to a little steady drinking. I gotta have my breakfast food.
I'll tell you what it is. It's a new issue our company's handling, see? It's a 6% short-term gold note. The greatest little investment you can make. And if you listen to little Jimmy, each and every one of you, I'll make you plenty of money. I'll guarantee I double your money in a month.
How much? Hey, Crane, how did you ever manage to intercept that pass? From where I sat, it looked like that Andrews man couldn't miss it if he tried.
Ah, that Pinky Smith is playing half for them's a bump. And so is that Bud Mayfield, their quarter. Both them boys ought to be playing beanbag in a kindergarten conference.
How about that B formation of theirs? Is that any good?
Well, it isn't bad, but after you get onto it, it's like taking candy away from a baby. I smeared them up like a load of dynamite in the last half.
Yeah, they seem to gain a lot of ground.
Ah, no, they didn't. I was nailing them on the spot. And boy, when I hit them, they stay hit. The only reason I didn't get loose before was because my line wasn't making no holes for me. I had no more interference than a snake has corns.
Are there any other good football players in the country beside you?
Well, there was one other, out on the Pacific coast somewhere. Used to play half for Stanford. He broke his neck or something. Well, anyway, what I was going to tell you, when those Andrews men came out of that huddle, I knew they was going to pull a pass. So I stepped back, signaled my ends for the play accordingly. See, and when
Telephone for you, Mr. Crane.
Okay, buddy. I'm sorry. I'll have to come back and spill it later.
Hello, Bert. How's the old kid? How you been? Good.
Well, how's the bond business?
Hello, Mr. Crane speaking.
Hello, Jimmy. This is Mrs. Parks.
Well, hello, Mrs. Parks. How are you? You know, I was going to call you up this week to see how you were. Where are you now?
I'm at the Ritz Beauty Parlor, just a block from your club. I'll drive over and get you. Jimmy, I've something very important I want to tell you.
Well, that's okay. I tell you what I'll do. I'll meet you right out in front of the club, Ruth. I mean, Grace. I mean, Helen.
Oh, yes, that's splendid. I'll be there in about 5 minutes.
Okay. Bye-bye. Night for old...
Try and do that. You know, a fella has to try to take care of his friends, doesn't he? I should say you do.
Fellas, I'm awfully sorry. I'll have to come back tomorrow and tell you how I got that pass out of the air. I just made an important business date over the phone, so I gotta go. So long, Fat. See you in the funny paper.
That bird's going to break both arms someday trying to pat himself on the back. Yeah.
So, while the big sap's at the phone talking to some woman, I braced the boys and sold them about $30,000 worth of those gold notes. And when he came back, he didn't even know that it had happened.
I don't know why we should be paying him a salary. When down at the stockyards they're clamoring for beef.
I don't either.
As a matter of fact, I've decided to fire him. After all, I'm not running a charitable institution here. Miss Ellis, that'll be all. Thank you.
Well, I guess I'll toddle along and do a little work.
Hi, May, old gal. How goes the battle?
Good morning, Jim.
Hey, the big cheese in his boudoir, telling Professor Crane wants a few words with him. Hey, May, what you looking so sad about? The sun's shining, the little birds are singing. Everything's Jake. Cheer up.
Something I think you ought to know, Jim. I know that it's none of my business.
Go right ahead and spill it. I won't bite you.
Well, I don't think Mr. Ward is pleased with your work.
Well, now, that's too bad. That sure is tough. I'm getting rings under my eyes from worry.
But, Jim, he may discharge you. Now, if I were you, I think I'd go right in there and tell Mr. Ward that I knew I hadn't been doing so well, but that I'd try.
Never mind. I don't need the advice, kid. Thanks just the same. But I know how to handle old pain in the neck. And when I get through with him, he's going to lay down and roll over.
Jim, don't go. He's in a dreadful mood this morning.
Hiya, General. How's every little thing?
Glad you came in, Crane. I want to talk to you.
Well, you get a great break. Here I am, bright and smiling.